Welcome to the Morning Formation. This episode is powered by Act Now Education. I've had so many people over the years tell me like, "Oh, why do you need that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" When all this kicked off and we went on lockdown, I can't tell you how many people like called me up and was like, "Hey, you have extra ammo?"
Yeah.
And I'm
gun
like,
sales went up like crazy.
"Well," and I was like, "Oh, what do you need extra ammo for? Just call the police." Like, it's
It's like, yep. What's the first thing to no? And I get it as well. But like, government.
yeah.
What's the first thing the government's going to take? Guns and all of that type of stuff. And again, I don't want to get into the crazy issue, but you found that left, right, and center, people were buying more.
Warriors fall in. It's time for formation. Today I'm joined by writer, producer, and director Michael Mateo Rossi. He's an LA-born filmmaker who works in spans of actions, thrillers, and independent cinema. From the movie Chase to Charisma Killers, his brand new dystopian sci-fi thriller Censor Addiction, we've seen his powerful storytelling on screen, and today we're digging deep into his creative process and his career journey and the making of Censor Addiction, which I was very fortunate to be a part of, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have done that. Censor Addiction is a film that imagines a near future where Big Pharma controls society through a weaponized pill, and the rebels have to rise up to take it down. Today, I want to introduce you to Michael. Thank you so much for joining me today, brother.
Thank you so much, man. It's great to be here. It's been a while since I've seen you, so it's nice. I'm excited to dig in.
We were fortunate to have dinner with one of your great actors, Forrest, just last year, I think it was, right? Last year, yeah. And time just flies by so quick, man. I just want to start off, Michael, asking you, man, what inspired you to become a filmmaker, and how did you grow up in the large city of angels?
Yeah, well, I think that being born and raised in LA definitely did help, motivate me, even though nobody in my family is in the business actually.
Oh.
But my dad showed me a lot of films growing up, a lot of classic films, film noirs, Twilight Zones, all of that. And I loved it. I loved storytelling like that. I knew I wanted to be a part of it. And that's why I started young. Started in college, basically making shorts, came back here and never looked back.
So you started in college, but recently you've posted pictures of yourself, which you were a young actor, weren't you? Didn't you get into acting when you were in high school?
I did some theater when I was like 12, 13, 14, mostly musical theater. And that was fun. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. But I knew around 15 or 16, I liked writing more and I liked being behind the camera more. So that's where I kind of made that shift. No, I think that with anything film related, it's good to kind of dip your feet into different types of positions, whether it's in front of the camera, writing, directing, stunts, any stuff like that. So, because it gives you a better perspective of everything, to educate yourself that way.
Now, what part of LA did you grow up in? Did you grow up around Hollywood, or did you grow up
The
elsewhere?
kind of Silver Lake, kind of Los Feliz, Atwater area. So, and that's kind of where I live around now. So it's good. I like that. I like the Northeast LA area and everything. Even though it's a little bit far from the beach, but it's still nice. So yeah,
I
that's
love
where.
I love the vibe up there, and I
Yeah,
love the bars altogether. Now, growing up, you mentioned that none of your family members are in film,
yeah.
but what inspired you? Like, at what point, like, was there somebody, a friend, or maybe an acquaintance that you knew?
I think it was my dad, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
because he's a huge cinephile and he wanted to share a lot of those classic films and everything. I also watched a lot of films, some films that I probably shouldn't have watched too young, like RoboCop, Terminator 1 and 2, all of that. And I loved it. I loved it as a kid. I saw these larger than life characters and people and everything. And even just watching the Oscars back in like the is where it just it felt like it was all about the performance, all about the film. There was no other kind of angle to it or agenda or anything. It's just pure like good hardworking, actors. And I loved watching all that. And I wanted to tell stories that way.
So, how many years have you been doing this now?
Whew, 19 years, 19 and a half years almost. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, started basically in late '06, 2006. It was, yeah, 18, 19, and, it's crazy to think that. So, yeah, I started very, very young, but long time.
What was your first project that you actually got in? Your first big project that you felt like
Oh,
you
first
broke into it?
big project probably is a feature, first solo directed feature film called Misogynist, actually. Probably wouldn't have made it now, but it was kind of a cautionary tale where it was about this guy who kind of teaches young men how to control women, and then you find out who he is, all of that. We shot the whole thing in 7 days. I was young, I was mid-20s, mid-early 20s, but it was good. It was divisive. I mean, some people appreciated it for what I was trying to do, and then some people just wrote it off. It's like, "Oh, this is crap, this is trash," all of that. But I'm proud I did it. It got attention.
Yeah.
Definitely got attention. We had about 10 billboards up in LA, which was pretty wild. So that was exciting. So that helped me gain some momentum.
How did you get started on that though? Because going from scratch, not having a start, no money, no
Yeah.
nothing. Like, how did you get that even off the ground?
I funded a lot of it myself. So I had some savings, all that. I know it's like, should never invest your own money into film, which can be tough, but I wanted to do it so much. I had some stuff saved and we made it for very, very cheap. Very cheap. We pinched every penny. I had one other person help out a little bit with the money, and then yeah, we did it. We were able to kind of call in favors and stuff like that. And again, 7 days, pretty contained location, but it was good. It was a good kind of trial run to see how far I could go, or starting point to make that happen.
It's absolutely amazing that you started from absolutely nothing and then you
Thank
got
you.
it and you got it off the ground, got it going.
Yeah.
Now you've worn many different hats from writer, director, producer. Out of all those different roles, which role do you prefer to do and which do you figure out which one do
Mhm.
you feel like is the most creatively fulfilling role that out of all those three?
Probably directing, to be honest, because when you're on set and you're working with amazing actors and you're seeing it all come to fruition, it's just amazing. You're seeing the world that so I write a lot of the stuff that I direct, and just seeing that all come to pass is just amazing. And as you know, because you worked on one of my films, I like to work with a lot of the same people again and again. Daniel, Vernon, Marnette, Chris, a lot of these people, Vanessa, I don't want to keep dropping names, but yes, a lot of these people. So that's, yeah, directing for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was a little starstruck because to be honest with you, man, like I was not intending to be there. I just happened to meet up with a friend of mine, a lunch, and then invited me
Mhm.
to be on site. And I was so blessed and appreciative
Right, right.
that you allowed me to get involved to some
Of
extent
course.
and just to see the process sort of behind the scenes. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned that most young filmmakers don't know, but learn, I guess, early on in their career that they probably should know?
Work with people that you trust, that you know are going to put in the work, that are professional. Trust your instinct as well. If you get a kind of weird vibe or a different vibe on somebody, you know, trust your instinct on that, and take your time. It's the thing where even a few years back, I felt like I always had to rush into films. Oh, I got to make a film a year. But you know what? If you don't make a film a year, that's okay. If it takes 2 years, if it's, make sure you get it right. It's better to get it right than to rush it. That's what I learned. And just, yeah, helping vet people and all of that. We met through Damien,
Yes.
who's great as well, and anybody that he would recommend is good people, and you were great. And you were professional, and it was and I also it's a weird nuance, but I like people who are excited to be on set. That's the other thing, like just taking it all in, being excited, because with Censor Addiction, we have some pretty strong names in there, some recognizable faces. There's some people that have done some stuff. That's pretty cool and have worked on studio films and do the conventions, right? Or
Mhm.
and your thing, I don't know if we should spoil. You have a nice little scene with a pretty big guy
Yeah.
and all of that. But I mean, think about it. He's all of it. Michael Hearn has done tons of stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
He's been around. I mean, he went viral, but he was a legend before that.
Oh yeah.
And he travels the world doing these conventions and people wanting his autograph and all that. And you share a scene with him.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's pretty cool, and
Right.
that's going to be there forever.
Yeah.
I mean that's humbling if you think about it.
Oh, totally, man.
You know.
Totally. Um, the first time I met Michael Hearn was at the Arnold Classic, and I want to say it was in Columbus, Ohio, back
Oh.
in maybe the year 2000.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
So back then, like I was trying to get a picture with him
Sure.
as a young 20-year-old
Mm-hmm.
man, in college, getting ready to go in the military.
Yeah.
And then here I am, like all these like 20 years later, like doing a film with him.
Comes full circle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible, and he's a professional too, and it's great.
Right.
His wife Mona's awesome as well, and they're kind of power couple and all of that
yeah.
stuff too. But it is interesting how that works. And in the business, there, for example, Vernon Wells. I don't know if you met him on set.
I did.
You did
I
meet him.
did, yes.
I grew up. I watched Commando as a
Right.
kid. In Weird Science, he has a little role in that as well. And these are people I looked up to, and I'm like, holy! I mean, he shares an epic end fight scene with Arnold, right? And then I'm working with him, and I've worked with him on 4 films. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's humbling.
Yeah.
The people that you either grew up with or that you met in your early 20s or as a kid, all that. And then it's like, I'm working with them. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and honestly, how I ended up on set, I trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I lived in Cincinnati with Damien. And back then we were just young, budding blue belts. We knew how to go hard. We knew how to kick each other's asses every single day.
Right.
And that's about all we knew.
Right.
And I think through that, all these years later, we still have a good relationship. And it's amazing to me how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has kind of created these long life friends for me. Even if they live like hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd probably seen Damien in maybe 12 years.
Wow. Okay, long time.
Yeah. So we hit lunch together, and then next thing you know, he goes, "Hey, there's a movie set I'm going to be going to. Like, would you like to stop by?" I said, "Sure." And turned out the movie set was a range that I was very familiar with, FT3.
Yes.
Great clean range. I want to make sure I plug FT3 in there as well.
Always wear the hat.
Is in Carson, California. You definitely have to stop by there if you're in town and you're looking to get some rounds down range.
Yes.
Honestly, Michael, the thing that I really liked the most out of like being on your set was the professionalism and the humbleness of like Mike was very humble.
Very humble, yeah.
All your actors and actresses were very professional, very humble. And I think at the end of the day, that says a lot about you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because you're kind of the maestro. You're the guy standing up there, controlling the environment, controlling
Captain his ship a little.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because if you're a jerk and you're an asshole, then that kind of trails a domino effect.
Yeah. Trickles down.
Everyone else,
Absolutely.
man. But I was on set for a few days and I never experienced like a bad day.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And the funny thing is, you were on set during a little bit of a stressful time because there was a lot of action going on and stuff like that. But, kind of remain cool, calm, and collected. It's a lot of the preparation as well. And I've learned, again, doing this for almost 20 years, you start to build a team. You keep the ones you like to work with. You kind of weed out the ones where it didn't either work out or something like that. And that's where it can go. And that's why I work with a lot of the same actors, because I trust them to know their stuff, to be professional, everything. No, thank you. I'm glad that you liked it too. It's exciting, and it's exciting seeing it all come together.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me and I'm trying to kiss your ass, because I have been since that time. I was on another movie set. I was on several other movie sets after that. Yeah. And it wasn't really this quite same vibe. It wasn't as light. It wasn't as fun.
Supposed to be fun too.
Right.
I mean, people like, we're all having a good time. Also, I mean, we have an objective to film, but if everybody's miserable or something like that, then what the hell are you doing?
Right.
So this is what I think.
And the whole creative process behind it all, taking in the experiences of everybody and their perspectives on how things should work out. you were very open to that.
Thank you. Thank you. I try to be open to certain ideas and I
Right.
always listen to my actors. And if they want to try certain,
Right.
something different or improv or something like that, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. Cause sometimes that's the thing that ends up, in the final cut,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm really excited for this film because there was a
Yeah.
lot of scenes in there where Mike had kind of integrated some of his
Yeah.
ideas, and then like I know Chris Moss and then
Hmm.
Daniel had talked
Hmm.
about doing this and doing that. So
Yes.
I'm really excited to see like how this turns out. For you've been doing movies for like 2 decades
I know.
now.
It's wild.
So how has your I guess your process or your approach evolved over the last 2 decades?
It's vetting people, it's making sure that, the script that I have is the right one at the right moment. I learn with each film that I do, make no mistake about it. Every single one, from the first one to Censor Addiction, I have learned from it, and then I'm able to adapt from it as well. Tell you one interesting thing real quick. It was shortly after Misogynist. It was either my second or third feature. And I'll be very honest with you about this. It was a pretty terrible experience, actually. It was really bad. It mentally drained me. It was something where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was tough. Like it
Mhm.
was. I remember coming back. I was living with my brother at the time, and he would see me come back from set, and I wasn't happy. And that's a place I never want to be. I never want to be on set where I'm not enjoying myself, because then what the hell am I doing, right? I don't regret making it because it made me recalibrate everything. After that, I took a step back. I took a few months off and I kind of built a new team. And a lot of the team I still work with now. So sometimes it's like you got to go through the trenches, so to speak, to come clean the other side and everything. So you learn from those things, right?
Yeah.
So that's one little, didn't mean to segue off into that, but that was a huge learning experience for me.
Right.
Sometimes you have to, yeah, but that was my Apocalypse Now. You hear how Apocalypse Now was pretty stressful and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what Martin Sheen had a heart attack on set and
Yeah.
Coppola and all that, but I mean, look at film's amazing, right? But we've all been, if you're in film long enough, you've had that moment, that movie, that's something where you're like, revisit that again, or I never want to experience that part again. So that's why, thankfully, my films in recent years, all that have been pretty good and fairly stress free.
Yeah, I guess everybody goes through those highs and lows,
Yeah,
especially in life and just in general. And if
yeah.
you're, especially in your line of work, you get a lot of criticism too, right? And so, how do you deal with that when people tell you that you suck and you're not good and you should just stop, right? And I'm sure you get it, right? Because I get it.
No, totally. So with the first couple films that I did, when I got like my first critical review that wasn't good, it actually affected me a lot. I was kinda naive and hurt to it, where I'm like, "Wait, somebody didn't really enjoy it or somebody tore it to shreds or something like that?" But then you build up and you understand that, A, you can't please everybody. Just in anything, you can't please everybody. There's always gonna be people that think you're terrible or the stuff you do is bad, all that. But for every one of those, I have people who also are like, Mike, that was fantastic. Or I'll get a good critical review that really compliments certain aspects of it and appreciates it. So look, there are people who hate The Godfather. There's people who hate, like whatever, like universally loved stuff. And you just got to go with it. I have built up a thicker skin with it. There will always be trolls out there. There will always be certain stuff like that. But I try to cultivate a positive experience, even with my social media and stuff like that. Maybe I post too much, but I try to not do the whole negative stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some people who post nothing but political stuff and issues and problems. And if that's what they want to do, go for it. That's awesome. That's not my thing. It's not my thing. So yeah,
I remember last year when we went to dinner, you
yeah.
talked about an incident where somebody had sent you a book and asked for you to sign it. Do you remember that?
I do remember. Are you talking? Somebody did sign with a book, but also a
Uh, DVD.
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 Yes, yes, that was incredible. It was this woman that followed me on Twitter or X. She lives in North Carolina, and she reached out. she had it, and she's like, "Mike, do you mind signing it?" And of course, and this person had been following me for years and so awesome and supportive. And when I did it, I signed it in silver Sharpie, so it would stick and it would look great and all of that stuff. And then I mailed it over to her in North
Yeah.
Carolina. And I mean, even that, you have to step back and think these are people who are watching your stuff all over the country and the world,
Mm.
because a lot of my stuff is in Asia and Europe and South America, you name it. That's incredible. And, she took a picture of it when it was mailed to her and all of that type of stuff. And that's incredible. And for me, I'm old school too. A couple of my films have not had DVDs of it because, everything's streaming, all that. But I like DVDs. I like the physical media. There's something about that,
Right.
right?
Right.
Tangible everything. Charisma Killers did have a DVD. Very happy to say that Censor is going to have a DVD of it, which is
Nice.
really cool. It's going to be in Walmarts as well, and a bunch of other stuff. You can get it on Amazon, and we'll talk about it more, but
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they have gonna have a physical DVD, because no matter what happens with streaming, all that, because things can get censored,
Yeah.
no pun intended, you have the physical copy of it, and that's awesome, you know?
That's the one thing, even like on a personal level, like with pictures,
I know.
I'm missing having albums.
I know. I know everything. Boy, I should upload or print them out and stuff, because if, God forbid something happened with technology and all that, I mean, it's wild. Like we don't I mean, yes, of course people have framed photos, but not to the level of where it used to be. Remember,
No.
you get it developed,
Right.
all that. Now it's all on here. Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So having a physical DVD of it, I love it. I love it.
And I grew up in the days early on because I was born in 80. So
Mhm.
VHS,
Of course, of
beta,
course.
right? So
VHS, I was born in '87, so I'm all about VHS too. I had VHS until my teenage years, and then it kinda transferred to DVDs, so, no, I definitely remember that, and rewinding it and doing all that stuff, yeah, yeah.
you mentioned him a couple times, but I want to make sure that we do talk about him. You talk about
Mhm.
your brother. So what does he do and how does he play a role in your life?
My brother's like my best friend. And the funny thing is he doesn't have any social media. He's kind of introverted that way. He's never had any social media, not even MySpace back in the day. We're 17 months apart, Irish twins, right? He's younger. And he's just we're super close. He used to do a lot of writing as well, screenwriting. Then he kind of segued more into kind of finance, stocks, all of that type of stuff. But no, we get along really well, just like with any family. Yeah, we have our arguments and stuff like that. We watched a lot of films together. We kind of watched a lot of stuff. Pro wrestling, remember WWE,
Oh yeah.
WWF, all
Oh
that
yeah.
stuff. We would do that. We'd play soccer together, the whole bit. So he's my only brother. I love him, of course, but you know, yeah, it's good. And he watches every time one of my films comes out. We obviously watch the film together. I love seeing it through his eyes. So literally, usually release day, I will watch it with my brother whenever it is. We'll rent it from. I'll come over to his place and we'll watch it. It's kind of a little mini tradition.
What a blessing it is to have a partner and a teammate who's
Yeah.
also related to you at the same
Yeah.
time and you
Yeah.
can trust someone
I
that's
can
not gonna.
trust. I mean, look, in this business, in any business, it is hard to trust people, and
Yeah.
people can come and go and stuff like that. But yeah, my brother's stuck with me, which is good. Known him all my life. Again, we're just a year and a half apart in age, so that's pretty wild to think that. But yeah, no, we always watch it, and he'll always tell it to me straight too, which I
Yeah.
like. He'll tell it to me, "Hey, Mike, this was my favorite. I like this. I didn't like this," and I'm cool with it. Cool.
That's awesome, man. I know you
Mhm.
talked about him a couple times. I want to make sure that we covered, who he is as a person
Sure,
and
appreciate
what
that.
part he plays in your life.
Yes.
So let's talk about Censor Addiction,
Yeah.
man. It's a sci-fi action. Talks about big pharma and
Yeah.
how the rebels have to rise to take everything back, right?
Yes.
So where did this story originate from?
So I wrote it basically in the heart of the pandemic, right? being in LA, we got hit pretty hard with some regulations, some strict stuff, everything. And again, so much of my family's in medicine actually. So I'm definitely somebody who, believes in science, believes in this, but some of these steps, even though I know wasn't you didn't know everything, were a bit excessive and
Yeah,
impractical,
agreed. Yeah.
and people didn't talk about the mental aspect of things, how this was psychologically damaging people and all that. We're social creatures and everything. So finding that balance. So I kind of, I wanted to tell a story that almost maybe didn't feel so off about essentially, hey, blindly listen to us. We know what we're talking about. Don't do any research about it. Heaven forbid we look into stuff and everything. And I wanted to take it even just a few, it takes place just 4 years from now,
Yeah.
2030, the film. It's like, are we that far off? I don't know. I
Right.
don't know. We saw as a society how people could act during something like this. And to be honest with you, it was fairly scary,
Yeah.
especially at first. It was
Oh yeah.
fairly scary where it's like, wow, people really, really do get in line blindly very quickly. So I wanted to play on the big medical giant, which is what in the film and what happens, and then a few people who kind of know the insight and they look to take it down. So that's so yeah, essentially the pandemic
Right.
influenced me
Right.
to make this film. And like I said, I didn't want to make this in the year 2500 or all that. I wanted to make it now, 4 years out.
Right.
That's pretty close, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, that's yeah.
It's amazing that you mentioned these certain things because it did affect people.
Uh-huh.
Like, and as a father of a 6-year-old, I have a
Oh,
pandemic baby. She and the rest of her classmates are different
mhm.
than the other kids, and all the teachers, they all give me that feedback as far as like they're missing like certain social things that they're trying to catch up
Yes.
with. And I was traveling during COVID,
Mhm.
going from state to state,
Yeah.
whereas most people were kind of stuck here.
So,
And it was amazing to me how I would land in a different state and I would be masked up and double masked up and all this other stuff. And then I would land in another state and then everyone there is looking at me like, what are you doing? And they're not wearing anything. And it's so funny because we're all humans. So what's good for one state? Why is it not good for another
it was
state?
so bizarre, and even certain things, you walk into a damn restaurant and you have to have it on, then you sit down. That we're gonna look back. I even see funny memes that was saying like 2020 was a wild year, and it shows like certain pictures of how some people were. And it's wild. It's
Right.
wild. But like I said, I think that the broader scary thing was how people, human beings as a group, were and how they were, where it's like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. I think at the height of it, I was taking a walk, and on a couple occasions, I might have had it off for a second, and I had a older lady, "Put that on, you're endangering
Yeah.
people," all of that, and I was, like, literally 20 feet from the person, the whole bit. Anyways, you get it, whereas, like,
Right.
it brings out the paranoia, all of that, the vitriol, and it's just it was crazy, so I'm like, I have to make a story a little bit again, just basically, like, blindly follow us, we know what's right for you, we know what's right for you. Don't listen to anybody else but us. Government oversight or whatever it is, or huge company. Um, so yeah, but I think it's something that people can relate to, and all that. There was a recent article, or excuse me, critic review that enjoyed it, that talked about how this doesn't feel too far off. Which was cool. They said that in the critic review, which was interesting, and because that's what I wanted to show.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, hey, this isn't some freaking a Star Wars, all of that stuff where it's like this isn't gonna happen for a while. It's here.
I would like to see a
Mhm,
documentary just going back
mhm,
and underlining the things that we did because we had
mm.
lifeguards and law enforcement chasing people off the beaches.
I
Like that's
know.
how insane it
I know.
was, which now it's I mean, most of these sanitizer machines from the uh 2020s
Yeah.
I walk up to now and I try to use and they're completely empty. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is like
Yeah. It's like a
something
time
that's,
capsule or something.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's crazy. Again, we look back at it and I'm like, I don't know how the hell we lived through it and all of that, but it was the mental as
yeah.
well. There's this wrestler Scott Hall who I didn't
Oh,
know, but yeah, you know Scott
yeah,
Hall or
yeah,
Razor Ramon,
yeah.
right?
Razor Ramon.
Do you
Yeah.
know what happened? He got back into drinking because he couldn't be with his friends and socialize. He was kind of kept inside all that, and that's actually what in part led to his death. That's what I heard,
Hmm.
But no, I'm serious, look it up and everything. He really got depressed from it. The mental affects the physical in
Yeah.
most things. It really, really does. We focus on the physical, which is important, of course, but if you're, pressed or not getting the help or something like that, yeah. So it's just he apparently had kicked drinking for a while and then kind of got back into that pretty badly, and it kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, I really think we need to do an examination on how much that, I guess, protocol affected us as a
Yeah,
country, and not only as a country, but in the entire world, basically. I
I
mean,
know.
there's effects like what you just talked about with Razor Ramon,
Yes.
aka Scott Hall. Yeah, I know
And oh,
dude,
you
I know
know who he
exactly who it
is.
is, dude. Yeah.
Oh, Kevin Nash, Hogan, all that, WCW in the late '90s. Yeah, anyways,
When you talk about like the rebels and stuff,
yeah,
you know what's interesting is, I'm not a big gun guy, but
mhm,
I shoot
sure,
guns. I own guns. But the interesting part is when all this kicked off, I've had so many people over the years tell me like, "Oh, well, why do you need that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that?" When all this kicked off and we went on lockdown, dude, I can't tell you how many people like called me up and was like, "Hey, you have extra ammo?"
yeah.
And I'm
Oh, gun
like,
sales went up like crazy.
"Well," and I was like, "Oh, what do you need extra ammo for? Just call the police." Like, like it's,
It's like, yep. What's the first thing to no, and I get it as well, but like government,
yeah,
what's the first thing the government's going to take guns and all of that type of stuff? And again, I don't want to get into the crazy issue, but you found that left, right, and center,
yeah,
people were buying more.
yeah,
People were buying more to protect themselves, to do all of that. I think even now, gun sales are still thriving and through the roof and all that. And we can you can get into the smaller stuff of what's necessary, all that, but I think few would argue, to even have just a handgun or
right,
something like that just
right,
for some protection
right,
or something. Few would argue that that's not okay or something like that.
right,
You can talk about other stuff and full magazines and blah, blah, blah. But I know a lot of people. I have friends on all sides of the aisle and
right.
even pretty extreme on some. And yeah, so it's wild, and people panic and people will, but they want that security,
Yeah.
you know?
And I'm definitely a big proponent of having like a last stand weapon to defend yourself. And I will argue anyone on that one.
And with let's look at history and let's look at all of that. What's the first thing that a government will do? They will take the guns away to, look at World War II. What the Germans did, what Hitler did, all that. And political with this, he took
Right.
the guns
Right.
away.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Your inability to protect yourself renders you vulnerable, and then they can control you more.
And there's certainly a movement with certain states that try to do that, that
Yeah,
try to restrict them as much as
yeah,
possible. And at the end of the day, a lot of times, not a lot of times, every time, these laws that they create only affect the law abiding citizens. They don't
right,
affect the criminals who don't give a
right.
shit about the
Yeah,
laws. And
yeah,
that's what people need to understand the most. But again,
correct.
back on topic
No,
with,
yeah, no,
right?
no, it's good to talk about it though. I think that most people I'd like to think are common sense. So when you mention stuff like this or talk to
Right.
them, they can at least understand
Right.
what you're talking about.
Right.
These-
Well, and I think this ties into the movie really well
Yeah.
because in the movie, people have to rise up against big pharma, big money, and they have to fight back and they
Yes.
have to take arms. And you spent a significant amount of time developing the world of Censor Addiction. What was the biggest challenge you think in bringing this future life to the screen?
I wish, I mean, just like with any indie film, like you almost wish that you could have shown the world just a little bit more, but I wanted just certain subtle differences, certain subtle things where we even talk about, hey, little World War III happened or something like that. But it's just it's finding the little small differences to show that it's kind of in the near future a little bit. But it can be done with details. It doesn't need to be some grandiose thing where you show like a crazy skyline. That'd be awesome to show
Right.
that, but just certain little differences between where we are now and where we could be in a few years from now.
Like, what do you think is one creative choice that you made during this film that you're especially proud of?
I'll give you a little bit more of a general answer, but I think it's listening to my actors with certain things, with certain improv, certain let's try this. Even, part of your scene wasn't completely written in the script with the whole, all of that type of stuff, but it worked. It worked
I
and
do
it looked
remember that.
amazing.
I do remember that because I
And
remember they coached me and told me this is what's going to happen, and then it changed, and I was like, oh, you got. I mean, I understand. Be flexible.
and it was great and it
Yeah.
looks great. Trust me, it looks great. Those things and that they can kind of come on the fly actually, but then it's like, you know what, this works. And it works for Mike's character.
Right.
This is a freaking superhero, larger than life, Terminator type guy. He would do something like that. And he would be that rage. Uh, and you sold it well for the record. You sold it very well and all that. That was good because
Like,
you're a build guy too. Mike's just crazy.
he's a
Mike
monster.
Mike makes everybody look smaller.
Oh, he's a monster.
He's a
Yeah.
monster,
Yeah.
right? And that, he's been doing it since the late 80s. Basically what? Since he was about 18,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Since he's a
So
teenager.
that's commitment. I think his son's gonna probably be a monster growing up too, right? Like his son Titan, like he's getting him into all of that stuff too. But no, those type of things, just listening to my actors. And there's some stuff that I was like, no, no, no. Let's not do it this way, but listening to them and applying certain things. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that you mentioned Titan, but the thing about Mike that and Mona both that I
Yeah.
appreciated the most was their parenting. Because when I talked to Mike, he had a true appreciation for wrestling, Brazilian
Yes.
jiu-jitsu, and then fitness. Whereas Mike has just been mostly a bodybuilder his whole life and his career. But he had that appreciation
Yes.
of that, and he also had appreciation for military and law enforcement as
Yes.
well, and just their parenting. It was interesting to see that side to them. You know,
It was good. I mean, he's gone to a point where I'm sure you see he posts stuff that some of us would not post or anything. But no, you get to a point where you just don't care. It's like
right,
what we talked about. There's always going to be haters. There's
right,
always going to be people that but no, I see some of the stuff where he talks about raising a kid and really kind of implementing this good positive reinforcement with stuff and having him stay active and everything. And kudos to him with that. Kudos to him. They have I've been over to Mike's place a few times and it's great. And the first time that I met Mike, I can't say anything bad about him. He was very welcoming. He's funny. He's got this good sense of humor about him, but he was cool. He
yeah,
was cool and he's
he's right,
friendly. He's friendly. Like he'll never, not take a picture with you and do stuff like that.
right.
Like it's great. And he's got a great team and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man. Like honestly, that was the coolest part about the entire set
Yeah.
and the entire cast was everyone was so cool, and
Yes.
a lot of the
Yes.
villains in this story were created to be very intense. So, can you talk to me about what was the approach that you had in developing these characters?
So I'll go back to, RoboCop, right? The original RoboCop
Right.
and all that. I don't know if you've seen it in a
Oh
while or
yeah.
something, of course, right?
Right.
There's that Clarence Bodiger and Dick Jones, right? Bart, Canvas is kind of the main henchman of Chris Moss. And I wanted a little bit of that dynamic where there's this sadistic, gritty type person, and then the top boss that delegates all of the stuff. And I'm just really influenced by these gritty action thrillers, sci-fi, all that. I just love it. I'd want us to bring that back more. There's still some good films coming out, but just that was like that was a good time. That was a good time right there. The characters were incredible. So credit to Bart, to Chris, they kill it. So yeah. And villains for me are always almost more fun to write than the heroes, weirdly enough. Maybe it's the dark side of me or something like that, but it's good.
Yeah. I think what I liked the most was the chemistry between everyone that
Yeah.
you had. For you, what's it like directing and a cast that with seasoned performers? Like you mentioned it earlier, you've
Yeah.
got Vernon Wells, you've got Michael Hearn there. And what's it like for you when you have those types of folks on set versus like some of the younger guys that are new to the whole game?
Well, people like Vernon and even Vanessa Angel and all of that, they've been in the game so long, but you see why they still work so much because they respected me. They gave that respect back. And even when I met with them beforehand, like they were very chill. Whether I was a big studio director versus an indie director like me, they loved the script, they loved the character, and they listened to me just like the newcomers do and all of that, you know? They knew I had a vision. They'd ask questions for clarification, but they were thankfully really, really great to work with. So that's what I like. I've been pleasantly surprised by all that. And that's why again, I've worked with Vanessa twice, Vernon 4 times. I love working with these people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely have a great chemistry between
yeah.
you and them and then them working with each other. How do you think Censor Addiction compares to your earlier films like Chase or The Charisma Killers?
Well, it's funny. I don't know if you saw. I think I posted it, but one of our critic reviews that came out about a week ago, and this guy had seen a bunch of my films. He said that this was the best film that I ever did, which I'm very blessed to hear and happy to hear. I definitely feel like this one. I don't want to bias people and all that, but I feel like this would definitely be in the top 25% of the films and all that. I'm curious for people if they'll like this one more or Charisma Killers, my last film more. They're very different, but I'm just curious because they are my 2 most recent films. But, this would definitely be up there. You know, we kept it tight, you know, it's about an hour and a half. Could have been a lot longer, to be honest, but we shaved about 30 minutes because we wanted to keep it flowing, you know?
Right.
How many films have we seen recently where it's like 2.5 hours and you're like, "Oh, this film could have
Right.
been like
Right.
45 minutes shorter, right?"
Yeah.
So, I feel like it flows really, really well. I'm proud of it, though. I'm
Yeah.
proud of it. I do feel like it's one of my best.
I was amazed that you had some guys like Will Rowlands,
It was great.
all the way from England
Yes.
here,
Yes.
and you had guys like fly from all over the
I
United
know.
States here for this.
I know.
And that's why I have so much gratitude because this is kind of in my backyard. And
Yeah,
and, and
yeah,
I just
yeah.
stumbled on lunch, and then next thing you know, I'm like there and working with
And
you
it
guys.
worked,
So I
yeah.
was so fortunate about this, man. And the film, does it open any possibilities for sequels?
Sure, sure. A lot of my films kinda have this thing about, open-ended and all of that,
Mm,
but yeah, no, it opens or excuse me, it I feel like it definitely leaves stuff to where it's like, okay, maybe a chapter's done, but the whole book's not done, that there's more to it. So depending on how it does and stuff like that, I'd be open. I mean, I feel like it's a world worth exploring even more and everything. So yes, the short answer is of course. I'm definitely open to more and everything. Yes.
so fascinating, man. I'm excited, and I'm glad that my first experience was being on your set because it was a great experience,
Thank you.
and it kind of charged me to like want to stay involved in this sort of
Yes.
thing. And but I want to ask you, man, like as a creative yourself,
Yeah.
are there any daily rituals or habits that keep you creative and grounded during the shoots? Like, is there anything that directors or writers do, sort of like baseball players, right?
Yeah.
That you do to kind of stay in your head in the game and stay with it?
I will watch certain scenes from movies just to keep me sharp and motivated. I will listen to certain songs or scores from movies, and it'll just motivate me. Even as I'm driving to set, sometimes I'll be listening to either a podcast or a scene or a certain score from a movie where I'm just like, I'll watch some of the greats. I'll watch either a Scorsese film or again RoboCop or whatever it may be, and it motivates me. It's like a pump up, all of that. So that is, or like, I could do this. I'm not that far off from making a film like that. Yes.
I'll tell you, man, like even having this podcast, when I was on set, I had a true appreciation for the lighting crew,
Yeah.
for the sound guys,
Yeah.
for all of it. Because doing this, like I'm kind of a one man show. When
I know.
even now, I'm like
Respect it.
flipping the switches here
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there.
yeah. There it
But
is.
but
Yeah.
like it was interesting to see it all come together, like on the silver screen. I guess you have a strong visual style in your films. How involved are you in aspects like the cinematography, the music, and all that stuff? And do you work with the same crew like when you do that as well?
Recently, I have. Shout out to Fabian,
Yeah,
Fabian's great, who's my cinematographer, also edited it. So he understands my vision. We've
right.
worked on a bunch of films before together where he knows what style. We've obviously talked about references and samples and other stuff. The composer Grant, who's great, he scored my last like 5 films. He understands my vision. I'll give him certain examples or certain I want it this way, that way, the whole bit. And he's able to do it where I actually don't need to give them that much direction after a while, because they just get it. I listen, I review, but a lot of times I'm like, good to go. You got it. This is what we wanted to do. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's good. Man.
So exciting. So
It
Censor
is.
Addiction, when
Yes.
is it coming out? Where can people see it? Give us the info on all that.
So good news is found out 2 or 3 days ago. It's gonna be March 3rd. March 3rd. So I don't know when this is gonna air or anything like that, but coming up soon regardless. March 3rd, and it's gonna be on VOD, so it'll be on Amazon, Vudu, a bunch of those type of platforms, and then DVD, Walmart, and it'll also be in libraries to rent as well. It's crazy. It's going to be like in 9,000 libraries. That's what they said, which is pretty wild. There's like the DVD section you can rent out. So it'll be on all of those, obviously good to support, but I'm super excited about it. And based on some of the critic reviews that have gotten the early screener, it's been very favorable. They've actually really enjoyed it, and everything. So yeah, March 3rd, I believe that's Tuesday. Tuesday, March 3rd is when it's dropping in. Definitely gonna be watching it again on my TV or with my brother.
I'm
It's
gonna
ex
want to make sure that this comes out before then, and I'm
Cool.
also interested in connecting with the actors
Yeah,
and having them on the podcast as well.
I'm sure they
And
would love that.
hey, I'm excited, man, because this is my first time.
You will like it. You made the cut.
I
You're
made the cut.
credited, all of that stuff. So it'll be fun for you to watch it. You can even take a picture of you on the thing and, sharing a screen with Mike O'Hearn that way. Come on, that's pretty memorable,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. No, that
And you have lines in it and all of that. So come on, that's pretty cool,
hey,
man.
like I said,
Right?
man, I have so much gratitude. I'm so fortunate, man, to
It's
have
gonna it's gonna
connected.
humble you. I think that maybe you'll even get chills a little bit when you watch it because you're gonna
Well,
be like, holy crap. Because remember, people are seeing this all over the world. I mean, that's pretty cool
yeah,
if you think about it. See, even for me, you have to step back sometimes and see how far you've come and like, wow, wow. Somebody from North Carolina, wherever,
right,
random ass place.
right.
Like, that's pretty incredible,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
So you'll like it.
No, I'm excited, man. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yes.
Growing up in the 80s and 90s, Michael, I just want to mention to you real quick, like
Yeah,
that was a fascinating time for us
it was.
like for music, for entertainment and everything.
Yes.
And I feel
Yes.
like since then things have shifted in Hollywood. What do you think? What's one mistake that you see emerging filmmakers make coming up?
That's a good question. Emerging filmmakers, I feel like they want to placate or virtue signal to the greater audience without really taking in what they want. What story do they want to tell? Because if you want to just check off certain boxes or do something that you think the audience is going to like, a lot of the time it backfires, and everything. It's just remember, at the end of the day, people want to see movies to be entertained. It's a form of escapism. They want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured to. They don't want certain agendas, certain stuff like that. They wanna be entertained, so entertain them. That's what
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I watched a video the other day, and they were talking about hip hop and rap, and they were talking about how in the everybody had their own creative work. And but nowadays it feels like a lot of rappers, for example, in hip hop is trying to copy each other, even their style, like their whole like
Oh,
machine gun style that they're
I
doing now,
know. I
versus like
know.
in the 90s, everyone had their own style. They
Yes.
created their own. But like you're saying, just stay true to yourself.
Yes.
What you believe is right. Don't copy other
Correct.
people, right?
Don't, it's if you wanna just go after the most popular thing and just all that, people can see the how not authentic you are. So
Right.
just be true to yourself. Exactly.
Right.
Tell the stories you want to tell. I understand that not everybody's going to like my films, but I know people that do.
Right.
And I know people that know my style. And if they're in the mood for my style type films, they are going to enjoy it.
Right.
If you want a cool action mixed with suspense type stuff, you're going to like this film. If you've seen some of my other ones, you're going to see certain themes and motifs and stuff like that, and you'll enjoy it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, staying true to yourself is definitely something that helps create the creativity, and I think it's something
Yes.
that we're missing today in entertainment in
Yes.
general.
Yes.
So, who are some of the directors or films that have influenced your work throughout your life?
Again, Scorsese, Hitchcock, Kubrick, this Japanese director Kurosawa, all of those people really, David Fincher, Christopher Nolan, all of those James Cameron, I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, all those people that just make these amazing films, these entertaining, thought-provoking films. That's what I love, you know? So those are the big boys that influenced me for sure.
Yeah,
And Paul Verhoeven, the guy who directed RoboCop, can't leave him out.
yeah,
And he did Total Recall as well and Starship Troopers. So
yeah.
pretty cool and all that.
Has anybody in the business kind of been a mentor for you?
There I had a next door neighbor, his name was Robert Mintz, who passed away a few years ago, but he wrote some of the original Batman from the '60s. So and his dad was in silent films in, like, the '20s and stuff like that, so he was old Hollywood. He helped mentor me a little bit
Oh wow, okay.
and all of that. It's good to have mentors, it's good to have people that you look up to and all that, but he was one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about him
No, no,
passing.
he was well into his 90s, so I think he lived a pretty good life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next on the agenda for you, man? Like after Censor Addiction?
It's a very good question, man. As you know, I kind of have also gotten into talent management a little bit, representing some actors and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I'm open. I'm seeing what it is. This has been a journey getting Censor out. I want to see how Censor Addiction does and all that, and then I'll see what the next play is. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think.
I just want to ask real quick because I'm curious. So
Yeah,
how does it work? So once the film is done and it's
yeah.
edited, it then goes where?
Then you start to pitch it to to distributors, or you shop it around to distributors, or you can go to film festivals, all that. So I got referred to a distributor. I really liked their bit. They liked the film. They wanted to take it. And yeah, so I went with them. And hopefully it does well. Hopefully. But I feel good about them. I feel good about them. And especially I was referred to by somebody that I trust, somebody that has a good track record too. Then it goes to distributor and they handle all of that stuff, basically getting it out there.
Cool. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
wondered how that process works. And it
Yeah.
just sounds like it's kind of
It can be
a
stressful. It can be
stressful,
stressful
yeah, stressful.
getting the deliverables, getting all of these certain things. But once it's done and once you have a release date, you're like, thank God,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. And how does the marketing work like after this? Like is there already budget for that put
I
in
mean, a
place?
lot of it's me promoting even on social media, having other people promote the whole bit. My actors promote
Right, right,
everything.
right.
They're gonna maybe take it to certain places, but it's just a lot of it's word of mouth and just
Yeah.
getting it out there and posting about it.
Right.
That's super important,
Right.
you know?
Michael, what legacy do you hope to leave through your filmmaking?
That's a great question. That's a very great question. It's a heavy
Yeah.
question. Just that I told the stories that I wanted to tell. and that I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to talk about characters that all have crosses that they have to bear and deal with it, that not everything is black and white, that these characters are conflicted and everything. Not everybody's 100% good or 100% bad. The most important people are where it's shades of gray, right? So those type of stories, and that I didn't fall victim to just certain, "Oh, I'm making this film to hit a certain agenda or to get political this way or overtly," or anything like that. I stayed true to myself. And I also wanted to entertain people and bring it back to the 80s and 90s and all of that. So, because so many people, again, there are films that are just lecture to people. And it's like, no, you watch my films, I want you to just be entertained.
Right.
Okay? Just
Right.
be entertained. Just enjoy it.
Right.
Enjoy it.
Right.
That's it, you know?
You know, man, I gotta say, like, even on set, like your temperament overall, like you never seem to get pissed off. You never got mad.
Thank
You always
you.
just
I got stressed, but I don't think I got mad.
no,
Thank you.
but even outwardly, like I could like the way you are now was the way you are the entire time.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I
Thank
think
you.
that says a lot about you and just who you are
I just can't burn myself
and the
out, but
professional that you
thank
are,
you.
you
Thank
know?
you, man.
So
Thank you. Thank you. I really know, and likewise to you. And again, look, we're gonna be working together. Again, I have no doubt about that. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna continue to try to be this way, that's for sure.
yeah, I think it's best to just to have a baseline like that when it comes
Yeah.
to your mood, emotions, and
Yeah.
it that has a tendency to put a trend on everyone else and the environment that
Yeah.
you're in. So anyone out there listening to this who's interested in following you, what social media platforms are you on?
Sure. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's just Michael Mateo Rossi. You look it up. I'm verified on those. So feel free to send me a message, say hi, all that. I try to be pretty receptive that way. And yeah, and I use it pretty actively, almost daily,
Yeah,
which is a lot, but it's good. It's weirdly therapeutic for me. So you can follow me on all of those and threads. Other, I always forget, but yeah,
Threads. Yeah,
threads.
yeah.
I try to use that too, but yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it,
Yeah.
man. Was there
Of course.
anything that you wanted to mention before we round off this episode that I didn't talk about?
Just that I really do appreciate the people that I work with and everything. And I know I didn't name drop maybe as much as I should, but you know who you are. You know the actors and the crew and everything that I've worked with, and even the supporters and my friends who maybe I haven't worked with yet. I appreciate all of you because I see how supportive you are, and thank you. Basically, thank you.
No, I really appreciate it, man. It's quite an honor to have you come all the way down here to my
Of
humble shack to do
Nice
this.
though.
Yeah, man,
Yeah,
I do my best with what I got, but
of course.
I really appreciate it, man, and giving me the opportunity. I mean, thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
And to bring like my experiences, my military law enforcement
Yes.
experiences to the big screen as well. And yeah, I would love to work with you again, man.
Oh, we will.
Mm,
We will. We will.
but yeah, let's do dinner again sometime. I'd
Let's
love to
do
get
it.
you and Forrest together.
Let's do it.
Sometimes we get kind of spun up in our daily lives and we don't take time out to just
Yes.
sit down and break bread. So I'd
No,
like
I'd
to do
love
that again,
that.
man.
I'd love that. This was great, man, and I thoroughly enjoyed it too. Seriously.
Check out Censor Addiction. At the end of the day, it's got me in it. And then also too, so many great actors and actresses as well. Uh, Michael, thank you again. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you. This was great. Censor Addiction coming soon. And thank you, brother. Thank you.
Michael's out here not just making movies, but he's
Mhm.
crafting worlds that provoke thought, challenge expectations, and entertains in equal measure. I can't wait to see where your story ends up next and what story you create. For everyone else out there, make sure you follow Michael on all the social media platforms. You can scroll down to the bottom and see in the description how you can follow him either on Instagram or Twitter or X. But again, check out Censor Addiction. It's coming out on March 3rd. And I'll make sure this episode comes out before then. As always, I want you to stay tuned, stay focused, and stay motivated. Warriors, fall out.